In this video, we are going to walk you through some skills-based interview questions and answers. Before we start, please subscribe, like and share. In each question or section, we will give you 10 seconds to think about your answer. Feel free to comment below answers you have for those questions. Also, let us know video topics that you would like us to create. Make sure that you stay with us till the end of the video. Let's begin. Let's spare a few seconds to think about what kind of skills-based interview questions you have in mind. Feel free to comment below your thoughts. Number 1. You're working on a project with clear guidelines. The day before the deadline, the client asks you to change the focus. How do you handle this? My team and I were a few hours away from completing a project that had taken us months. We met with the client for a final review. When they changed the focus altogether, our team broke down the additional tasks, evenly dividing them among team members, and determined a new, realistic timeline. We went back to the client for approval and were able to complete the project just 1 week later. Number 2. How do you organize a last-minute project to ensure you meet its due date? I break down each aspect of a project and assign a time value to each task. Then, I input them into my schedule, deciding how I can allocate my time. I also leave a few hours toward the due date in case anything unexpected comes up or something takes longer than I plan. Number 3. Tell me about a time when miscommunication affected your work performance. In my previous position, I got into the habit of exclusively communicating with a client over email. He changed the direction of the project I was working on a few weeks before the due date. I interpreted the change one way, only to find out later that he was envisioning something different if I'd called him to clarify. I might have gotten the project right on the first try. I learned from my mistake and now seek additional information if the directions aren't clear. Number 4. How do you ensure engagement during a presentation? I frequently check in with the audience when I'm conducting a presentation. If my audience appears confused or disinterested, I try to engage them by asking questions that can help them relate to my topic. Following the conclusion of each presentation, I ask participants to complete an anonymous survey so I can work on improving even further. Number 5. How do you decide to allocate funds for a client's ad budget? First, I collect any data I have from the client, such as previous advertising campaigns and their performance rates. Then, I consider the client's current goals and make any necessary adjustments. I then create a proposed budget and send it to them for review to make sure I'm not missing any important goals. Number 6. Tell me about a workplace decision that was difficult. In my previous position, I had the decision to stay in sales where I was comfortable, or move to a management position, while I aspired to manage others. I'm more comfortable on the sales floor. I made a list of the pros and cons before deciding that moving to management is the challenge I wanted. I found that I prefer mentoring others and helping them find their comfort in sales. Number 7. What are your strengths and weaknesses regarding interpersonal skills? I find it easy to get along with most coworkers, and I'd consider my adaptability to be a strength. I also find that I have a hard time saying no to coworkers when they ask me for a favor. I've learned that boundaries are important, especially if taking on a favor affects my performance, so I now give myself more time before responding. Number 8. Tell me about a time when you struggled to collaborate with a team member. My previous supervisor and I didn't always get along well. After weeks of reflection, I concluded that he's a more technical thinker, while I'm more creative. I realized that a lot of his feedback was because he wanted me to include more data and evidence to support my presentations. I learned to adjust and found it easier to meet his expectations. Number 9. Tell me about a time when you led a project. In my last position, my supervisor was out on unexpected leave. We had a huge project due at the end of the month, and, with little direction, no one knew what to do. I called a meeting with my team so everyone knew what everyone else's role was through the process of elimination. I identified the parts of the project my supervisor was likely handling and delegated them to team members. We completed the project in time for my supervisor to return and the client to approve the project. Number 10. What is your leadership style? I consider myself to have a coaching leadership style. This means I recognize the strengths and weaknesses of my team members, while also motivating them to improve in certain areas. I'm comfortable giving feedback and creating an environment that's both rewarding and challenging. My goals include being supportive of my team and helping them recognize their value and the value of other teammates. Number 11. How do you handle the situation when you're unable to provide a customer with the exact product they want? First, I apologize for not meeting the customer's expectations. I then offer them an alternative to a product that's similar to the one they wanted. If I'm still unable to improve their experience, I ask them what else I can do to make up for the inconvenience, possibly referring them to my supervisor if I'm limited in what I can offer them. Number 12. What does good customer service mean to you? Good customer service, to me, means respecting the customer's time and helping them in any way possible. I usually let the customer guide me on their needs because a good experience may vary between customers. I ask the customer what I can do to make their experience better so I can continue improving my customer service skills.